along with Clark and Steve. We're always glad to see you. Thanks for joining us. And now we take a brief check at the matchups. Our starting five for both teams. First for Memphis. And for the Bucks, Holiday out there with Allen. And inside out of Stanford University, a skilled post scorer with tremendous size, the 7-footer, Brook Lopez. Then it's Chris Middleton, and it's Ande DeCumbo in at the 4 spot.
Well, throughout the league and its history, defense has always traveled well. And to be good and consistently good in the NBA, you've got to bring that defensive mindset and execution. Offense comes and goes. Defense stays.
And the Grizzlies start out with the ball. Number 22, defended by Allen. Well, Clark, you said defense a part of the game that never has an off night. And it's why the Grizzlies, Steve, were so tough on the road and really such a tough team in general.
Well, 24-17 on the road is an amazing record for any club. And I think Memphis, they did it with their defense and their rebounding. They were able to enforce their identity on teams on the road with that toughness, with that edge, and it really paid off big time.
Now here's Holiday, 6 to shoot. Passes to Ande DeCumbo.
The pick was set at the perfect angle on the floor, and he used it nicely.
Well, that's a play we may see from them a few more times.
I mean, when it works, you go back to it. Make them stop you.
That's good.
I'll tell you what, the defenders didn't even get a sniff of him on that move to the hoop.
On defense, Memphis. A chance now to go over to Doris Burke, who had a chance to talk with head coach Mike Budenholzer.
Well, I asked him what strategy they were going to use at the offensive end, and he told me that they did not want to have to rely on their perimeter game. Instead, he plans to exploit what he described as a mismatch on the interior, saying, quote, "We have the talent inside to make things very difficult for us. We're going to use it." Kevin?
Thank you, Doris.
Well, guys, sometimes when he gets the ball in the backcourt, I mean, it looks like he's shot out of a cannon. He just takes off running, and it gives his team such a great push, such a surge as they try to get into the open floor to score.
And he is also a tireless worker under the glass, Steve. More than a few guys have been on the receiving end of one of his elbows when the rebound is up for grabs. He uses his body very well.
And the first one drops.
The Bucks actually made it back into the playoffs last season, but it wasn't because they were dominant at home. Only 21-20 at the Bradley Center. And those 21 wins were the fewest of any team that played in the playoffs.
We're pushing on the miss.
Rebound. I got it. Box here.
That's up. 1 for 2 that time at the stripe.
What's the screen?
Number 22, guarded by Holiday. He used that pick just right. Well, Clark, as you said, the Bucks didn't offer a lot as far as protecting their home court. In the end, it did come back to bite them as they lost 2 in a row on their home floor and got swept out of the playoffs, Steve, by Miami.
Well, that was a pretty tough matchup for anybody, but for Milwaukee, the team that was below 500, that was near impossible. But look, it was a struggle for the Bucks. We expected that, but getting to the playoffs was an accomplishment. We'll see if they can build on that this year.
Now here's Allen, following the shot by Drew Holiday. Here in the first quarter, with about 2 minutes gone by.
Get it going.
Allen pitch to Holiday. Back to Allen. Shot clock at 6. The Bucks need to get a shot off here.
They've had a cold start so far. Just 1 of 5 from the floor here early.
Shot is no good.
Get to him.
Downstream.
I'm through.
Number 22, defended by Allen.
Use that.
Here's Morant.
Keep shooting that, man.
It's not possible what we just said? Clark, is that possible?
Not probable, but it is possible.
It's possible. Not
Holy
probable. It is possible. I don't know what all that meant, but you're right, Clark.
And the Bucks miss again. And the Grizzlies leading by 3. Some firepower, Clark and Steve, from this offense.
Kevin, how about the air of confidence? I mean, they really look like they believe in what they're doing.
Yeah, a little swagger here from this team. They're in a nice groove.
Memphis shooting their first foul shot of the night. The free throw off from Adams.
Well, after a brief 2-year drought, the Bucks got back to the playoffs this past season, but it wasn't pretty once they got there. With several guarantees from players about upsetting the Heat, they didn't win a single game and were swept by the Miami Heat.
Back to the Bucks in the playoffs. In every aspect, they were overmatched by the Heat, and no one really thought they would upset them. But many thought, Steve, that they would at least get a game.
Well, I wasn't one of them, Kevin. I thought they were overmatched from the start. And you could tell in that series, Miami wasn't even interested until the fourth quarter. They knew they could just flip a switch and beat this Milwaukee team, and that's exactly what they did.
Get you the pitch down there. I got here. I got shoot.
No free throws good from Holiday.
Strange to see that a team that appeared to be in such strong position changed up so much. The Grizzlies did that. They traded away Rudy Gay, and they also changed their offensive scheme to more of a pick-and-roll approach.
Jackson passes to Adams. And it's going to be 2 free throws. Drew contact on the shot. There were a lot of questions asked after the Rudy Gay trade last season. Fans wondered if the team was looking to blow it up, even though they were fighting for the 3rd seed at the time. But, Steve, they really rallied.
They did. I thought they showed that they were an excellent team. And, you know, one of the reasons they made that trade was they had a lot of success a couple of years back in the playoffs without Rudy Gay. So they knew that they could play well without him. So they went ahead and pulled the trigger. And it looks like the deal has worked out okay.
Milwaukee making a switch here. He doesn't get the second one.
You know, for a good part of last season, guys, the Grizzlies were in the battle for the 3rd spot in the West along with the Clippers and Nuggets. Eventually, they finished 5th, but it wasn't because they didn't handle Eastern Conference opponents. They cleaned up against that conference.
And so here's Memphis. Following the 3 from Drew Holiday. Here's Morant. Makes it off the glass. He's got 8.
That's his 4th straight make right out the chute. He's setting a pretty high standard for himself here.
Yeah, it's the kind of start you want every game, but of course you rarely get it.
And back to the Grizzlies against the East. Their style of play really matches up well with the slow and down style of many Eastern teams.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, Memphis looks like they should be in the East. You know, they have no problem just banging bodies under the basket, trying to out-rebound you, out-muscle you. And I think you're right, Kevin. That's one of the reasons they were able to go 22-8 against the Eastern Conference.
And so it's Memphis with it after the basket by Milwaukee. Number 22, defended by Allen. Back to Brooks. And he drops in the layup off the glass. Brooks has got his first bucket of the night.
Some defensive breakdowns are starting to show up now. Their last 4 buckets allowed have come from very close range.
And giving up these easy chances is going to do wonders for their confidence.
Now here's Holiday. He's got 5. He dishes it to Middleton.
5 seconds!
And that misses. That would have put him up.
He got the shot he wanted off that pick, just couldn't get it to fall.
But, Steve, they'll take that play all day long, 10 times out of 10. That was good action.
Here's Brooks. Drive by Adams. And so he draws the foul on the shot. A trip to the line to shoot 2.
Well, you know, the Bucks thought they had a plan to make a big push forward by pairing some talent together in the backcourt. But what seems to have happened is they are now mired in mediocrity, which is exactly where you don't want to be.
And the first one at the line is good. And back to Minnesota, they were the 8th seed in the East last year, but still finished 6 games under 500. Still a lot of work for them to get above 500 and be in a position where, Steve, they are, competing for home court in the playoffs.
Yeah, a lot of changes for the Bucks in the offseason, but a team that was able to sneak in last year, they're hopeful to make it once again this season, but it feels like they're kind of stuck in the middle right now.
Well, the Bucks playing here at the BMO Harris Bradley Center, one of the older arenas in the NBA at around a quarter century, and the Bucks have said they'll leave Milwaukee after the 2017 season unless a new arena is built.
Now here is Holiday. He has 5. Allen outside. And the 3 off target. Memphis leading by 4. Guys, we've seen some excellent offensive output.
Yes, sir, fellas. They've had it going on big time.
Big time is right, Clark. A lot of momentum here offensively.
And back to the arena situation here in Milwaukee. This is one of the smaller markets in the NBA. Steve, that can make it tougher to get an arena done.
Well, and there's a potential change in ownership that has loomed over the franchise as well. Obviously, we all want to see the team stay in Milwaukee. A lot of great history here going way back. So hopefully an arena deal will get done.
So timeout called here. The first for Memphis. And the Grizzlies making a change here. The Grizzlies have gone 6 of 9, shooting it well.
Set up.
They set the screen. Back to Jackson.
Let's get a good shot.
Morant guarded by Holiday.
I'm back here.
Just 5 on the clock. Rejected by Middleton. And that's out of bounds. Memphis will retain possession. The Grizzlies making a switch here. Clock is at 3. Here's Morant. Can't get it to go. Great defense that time for Middleton. Milwaukee's gone just 1 of 4 from three-point range here in the first. And here's Holiday. He has 5. Pass to Middleton.
Clock. Shot.
Here's on to Tacumbo. And fouled hard that time. He'll get to the line and shoot 2. And a moment to look at the scoring approach in terms of where the points are coming from for the Grizzlies.
We've seen a lot of their points coming off penetration in this first half.
Another thing they've been doing so far tonight is knocking down the jump shot.
That free throw good from Antetokounmpo.
Well, for the Grizzlies, the 5th best record in the league last season, guys. Defeated the Clippers and the Thunder in the playoffs, but it all came to a crashing end when the Spurs swept them in the conference finals.
I got shooter. Here we go. We're going to push it on the miss. We're going to push it on the miss.
Rebound. I got a box here.
He hits one and misses one, each at the line. Well, and back in that series that Clark was talking about against the Spurs, more competitive than it might seem. Steve, you and I were talking about this. 3 out of 4 games are close. In fact, 2 obviously really close, going to overtime.
But I thought the weakness of Memphis was really exposed. Kevin, that was the outside shooting. San Antonio just guarded the paint. They took Zach Randolph pretty much out of the series, and they begged Memphis to shoot from long range. And when you don't have floor spacing in the playoffs, it makes it awfully tough to score.
Memphis leading. Jones. The pass to Green. On the wing, Williams. Uncovered. Gets the rebound. Moves back up. And the bucket counts. And he's on his way to the free throw line. Try to make it a 3-point play.
Did you see the defense get caught standing around that time, giving up an easy second chance bucket?
Simply need more of an effort on the boards there, Steve.
The Grizzlies shooting their 6th attempt at the charity stripe in the game. And that one misses.
A big problem for the Bucks last season was closing out games in the fourth quarter. You know, too often they would see their defense fall to the wayside as soon as the game started heading down the stretch. And as a result, they lost a lot of closeness.
There it is, guys, that old defense. Just watching them go Clark right by.
I think we might be seeing which team is ready to take control of this game.
Yeah, that's a dunk that could absolutely get them going. I agree, Clark.
Tillman takes the 12-footer and hits. And the Grizzlies lead by 3. Well, Clark, you brought it up. The Bucks defense would be soft for 3 quarters of the game, but would just not look like they were supposed to be in the fourth quarter at all. Not sure, Steve, if it was fatigue or something else that got to it.
I thought one of the keys was they didn't have great perimeter defense, and so even though they were a good shot blocking team, they were constantly having to cover up on penetration. And so even though you might get some shot blocks, you're also going to give up layups and offensive rebounds. That was a major problem for the Bucks last year.
Out of bounds, Milwaukee takes possession. Milwaukee making a switch here. Matthews is checked in. Bucks trail by 3. He lines up the alley-oop pass, takes the alley-oop pass and dunks it down.
You can see the eye contact there. Gave a little nod and then burst to the rim for the alley-oop slam.
No doubt, Clark. A pair of teammates with a terrific feel for each other out on the floor.
And what a play to make it a close game. Potential momentum builder.
Here's Williams. After the main shot from Antetokounmpo.
I'm back here.
Number 6, defended by Ingles. 4 on the shot clock. Jones for 3. And Hill with the block. And it's going to be a 24-second shot clock violation. They turn it over. The Grizzlies making a switch here. Milwaukee's gone just 1 of 4 from three-point range here in the first. Hill left side. Pass to Antetokounmpo. It's back to Hill. Clock at 6.
Clock.
On deep. Cannot hit. And it's Memphis the other way.
This guy's a good three-point shooter, but that was probably from a little bit too far.
Yeah, not what I would call working to get the best shot either.
A nice play to get a hand on that pass and tip it out of bounds.
I tell you what, guys, if he gets there a fraction earlier, that's a steal.
And Memphis making a change here. There's a minute 47 left in the first.
Go.
He passes it to Antetokounmpo. Can't hit.
That's an example there, guys, of contesting the shot and corralling the board. That's really all you can ask of a guy at that end of the floor.
Outside Williams. 6 on the shot clock. Rebounded by the Bucks. Right side Matthews. It's back to Hill. Hill gets a screen from Antetokounmpo.
Look at the clock.
The Bucks have made 4 free throws from the line and missed 2.
Well, pretty good numbers for this club a year ago, Kevin. 78% as a team from the free throw line.
That one drops. He ties it up. Milwaukee making a switch here.
Get the board, fellas. Get this board. Pitcher. Bring back my knee.
And the free throw is good. Now leading by 1.
They find themselves down here in the first, and a lot of that can be attributed to the early foul trouble.
Dishes it to Jones.
Coming out. Perimeter.
Shot to stop the drought, and they force the shot clock violation. Great D. And Antetokounmpo's checked in for the Bucks. Milwaukee's gone 1 of 5 from downtown in the first quarter. Points out there have been hard to come by. 2-second difference between shot clock and game clock. Hill kicks to Lopez. It's back to Hill. Makes the lead pass. And he was fouled in the act of shooting. Chance here now for a three-point play.
Outstanding job there to absorb the contact and guide it in.
That's how you impose your will against the defender. He came to play.
Now Jones with 1 on the clock, and the release was before the buzzer, but it's off target. And we reached the end of the first quarter.